Welcome back. In a move to secure savings for consumers and the state, government on Tuesday announced plans to assess existing mechanisms to price and tax fuel in St. Lucia. Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Alan Chasney, said plans are underway to review fuel import pricing regimes as he delivered a summary report on fuel margin variations under the market pass-through pricing mechanism in the House of Assembly. Retailers of fuel products have aligned with the Prime Minister. Nisha Charles tells us more in this report.
The summary report presented by Chasney gave an overview on how the country priced fuel based on CIF, cost, insurance and freight prices from 2009 to present, and reflected the loss and gains of the importers on gasoline and diesel. It also highlighted St. Lucia's pricing mechanisms for fuel over the years, changing from a 1-month, 3-month, then a 3-week pass-through system. Chasney says that government intends to embark on a comprehensive review of the imported prices of fuel into St. Lucia to determine whether prices reflect competitive open market fuel prices and to ensure that the lowest prices possible are used and aligned with world oil price and procurement options.
Because we are trying to establish a price at the pump, it means that there has to be a guesstimate as to what the CIF price is going to be during that period that you're trying to regulate. And so what has happened in the past, Mr. Speaker, is that they look at historical numbers and trends and try to guesstimate that CIF price. But in guesstimating that CIF price, Mr. Speaker, we have 2 importers in St. Lucia, and both importers always seem to have a different CIF price. And that is in part because of the cost of freight and whatever handling process, because the fuel ends up in the same tank. So you're now finding yourself not only trying to figure out where the market trend is going, global trend is going in prices of fuel, but you're using 2 CIF prices to take an average.
The Prime Minister says that given the wide variations in CIF prices and the gains and losses accrued by the wholesalers, there is a need to revisit and modify the current pricing mechanism so that any potential benefits can be passed on to consumers and or the state. Managing Director of Jomari & Sons, Evaristus Jomari, says for the first time the Prime Minister has been able to explain how the pricing mechanism works. He sided with government in saying that there was no hidden tax on fuel.
Any variations in the price of fuel brought about by different imported prices of fuel is going to rest with the importers. There is no way that you could have a hidden tax. And I think he explained that without admitting it, that when we had the situation of 3-month pass-through mechanism, people had a difficulty on trying to understand how is it that the price of crude on the world market was coming down and yet it wasn't reflected at the pumps. And the main reason for that is that it took 3 months before an adjustment could take place. And during that time, there were gains being made, but those gains were going to the importers. We always said that. But he chose at the time to deceive the public by suggesting that it was a government tax that was hidden. And today, I have heard him acknowledge that these differences on account of changes in the imported price of period over the revision period of 3 months was going to the importers.
According to the Prime Minister, the review is expected to be undertaken with the assistance of the World Bank and industry experts from international organizations to see how St. Lucia can adopt best practices to secure more gains for St. Lucians. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
Today, Wednesday, the 16th of December, the Ministry of Health recorded a batch of 175 negative COVID tests. No positive cases were received. This brings the total number of tests conducted in country to date to 17,986. A total of 3 recoveries were also recorded, reducing the number of active cases to 29. The Ministry of Health provides an additional reminder to everyone that they are a participant in the national response to reduce the impact of COVID-19 on the nation. Members of the public are implored to continue practicing the infection prevention and control measures. Wash your hands during the day using soap and flowing water. Wear a mask in public spaces and ensure it covers the mouth, chin, and nose. maintain a distance of 6 feet from others, use a bleach solution to sanitize frequently touched surfaces and frequently handled objects. Avoid contact with other people who have flu-like symptoms. It is important that if you are experiencing flu-like symptoms, that you keep away from others and seek medical care at the closest community respiratory clinic. A tightened screening process can be expected for those wishing to participate in the Canadian Seasonal Agricultural Farm Workers Program. So says Labour Minister Stevenson King after word that a few individuals from the most recent group of workers have absconded. Nisha Charles reports.
While there has been no additional absconders of the Canada Seasonal Agricultural Farm Workers Program, Labour Minister Stevenson King says that more rigorous screening will take place moving forward. In late November, news broke that a few workers from the latest batch who departed in July had gone AWOL, ruining the chances for those who would follow.
We will intensify what we call the background checkup, the background checks. In fact, in some instances, we relax the background checks because of the urgency of the need. So we avoid doing that process. So now what we need to do is to extend the time for processing, meaning from application date, interviews, and then community background checks, in addition to police records, etc., etc. That will intensify so that we know those persons who are going now will have greater scrutiny.
The minister also made mention of a possible security deposit, which would deter workers from not staying the course of their program.
So that those persons who are participating in the program must make that deposit with the understanding upon return that they will receive their deposit. So these are some of the considerations we're given, and I'm hoping that we can, by January, be able to firm it up moving forward.
In July, the last batch of workers was sent over to Canada, bringing the total number of St. Lucian workers to over 250. At the time of the send-off, King encouraged the workers to be quality ambassadors for St. Lucia, as he said the performance of the individual workers may result in the creation of fresh opportunities for even more St. Lucians. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
Phase 1 of the Derrick Walcott Square is completed and the boards which previously barricaded the area were removed Monday. Members of the public are voicing their opinion about the newly revamped space.
The boards barricading the Derrick Walcott Square have come down. This signals the end of the first phase of the rehabilitation project. So how does the public feel now that phase 1 is completed? Let's find out.
I would expect more, from the length of time and, so much plywood. I was expecting something more presentable. It isn't that it's not nice, not good, but I was expecting something slightly different. And what I find, we burst down the wall. So right now you could walk on the square at any angle, anywhere and so on. To me, the wall, it had its danger in it because somebody could hide behind the wall and umbrella you and do things like that. But to me, with the wall, it was more, to me, it had a little bit more presentation. So if you want to go in, you take the gate. But right now, any angle, I don't know. But to me, I'm a little bit disappointed. But I'm not saying it's not nice. It's nice, but I was expecting more.
Any moon, cafe, n'importe money, capacity, trespass, n'importe money, any angle. So,
like I said, it's good, especially because of the crime that used to happen. Because of the crime, the hidden places, lots of different gruesome crime take place already. But because of the exposing, I think it's good for us, especially the youngsters. We will know what's going on and we'll have our eyes on them.
The square, it is the way it's supposed to be, because that's the vision of a man, but it might be the vision of everyone.
Reporting from the Derrick Walcott Square for Hot 7 TV, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
The government of St. Lucia commenced the Barrel Concession initiative in June due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Senior Communications Officer in the Office of the Prime Minister, Nicole MacDonald, told Hot 7 that the current period saw many more barrels being received than last year.
The Barrel Concessions initiative that took effect on June 1st, 2020 will come to an end on January 31st, 2021. During a normal year, the concessions would usually commence in November and end in January of the following year. The government of St. Lucia took the decision to commence the initiative earlier in a bid to bring relief to the public. Senior Communications Officer for the government of St. Lucia, Nicole MacDonald, explained that there has been a noticeable increase in the number of barrels received from June of 2020 to present.
The Customs and Excise Department has reported that in the previous year, 16,482 barrels were brought in. This year, we have gotten to over 26,000 barrels have come into the island of St. Lucia, just based on the fact that we began the barrel concession in June of this year. So it's definitely provided some level of relief. Of course, there has been some revenue that has been foregone because of that. However, this is money that stays in the hands of every St. Lucian.
She gave an estimation as to how much taxes were not collected during the period within which the concessions took place.
It would be about $6,600,000 that has stayed in the pockets, in the hands of St. Lucians. And that is very important to us. That is what it is about, to make sure that this program had a definite impact.
Given that this initiative was undertaken in a bid to help with the COVID-19 situation, in the event that it should worsen, are considerations being made to have the concession period extended?
I think it's something that the Minister of Finance will be looking into with the Customs and Excise Department, and obviously with the team from the Ministry of Finance. So I would think that as the program comes to a conclusion based on the timeline that we have, the Minister of Finance will look at the impact it has had. The Prime Minister will look at whether there are more people that want to really take advantage and may not have had the opportunity to see how the program can be extended. But that would be a decision taken after a clear review of everything that's happening in government right now.
MacDonald says, by all indication, the initiative was successful and full advantage was taken, and the initiative accomplished its intent. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Janice Gonzalez.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more coming up after the break.